Blog Talk Radio. Chatting with Nat is a podcast for independent women seeking to speak their truth and to break down barriers. We host honest conversations that help to guide and empower women. Speak your truth and set yourself free. Let your voice be heard. Hi everyone, this is Chatting with Nat. Yes, it's Nat Leachin, it's Natalie Jean. Today we have the honor of having pop artist Naomi Sky. Naomi Sky is an inspiring pop artist. She believes life is a combination of logic and magic. Her music is deeply rooted in love and embracing the unknown. Her introspective lyrics, combined with upbeat pop production, encourage her listeners to embrace their emotions. Naomi says art is a reflection of life, an opportunity for the artist to heal themselves and potentially help others heal too. Her music is all about connection and growing in love. Let's get a round of applause for Naomi Sky. How are you?
Hi. Hi, Natalie. Thank you so much for having me. I'm great. How are you?
I'm still here in the pandemic. That's how I feel. I just sing things now. It's a quirk of mine. Because what else is there to do but sing about the craziness of the world? How have you been during this pandemic since last we spoke?
Well, so for the past week, the weather has been nice where I am. I'm located outside of Philadelphia in the suburbs right now. And we've had a little bit of rain and then some sun, and I've gotten to be spending a lot of time with my family. That's definitely one of the pluses, I would say, to everything that's going on with the pandemic. And I know there's so many negatives, but yeah, family time for me has been really grounding and something that I wouldn't have gotten if we weren't in a pandemic. So
yeah,
I'm really grateful for it.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because I have so many people that I know that have said that they've cut back on work just because they didn't realize how much they were working and they were missing out on family time. I think the pandemic opened a wide array of different ideas and reflections from people in regards to how they were living their lives. I mean, one thing that I noticed a lot was that a lot of people, I saw more families walking together outside, which was, it was just strange. It was just all of a sudden, it's like, oh, we have kind of like a downtime for a year. And now let's see how we can do things as a family. And it was bizarre and it was beautiful at the same time.
Yeah, I agree. I think it can be challenging too, because when, at least for me, I was thrown back in right after I graduated college, really thrown back into living with my parents. And that was not my plan at all. But I am so grateful because it's been cool. I've gotten to know my parents more as adults. I feel like we all grow up and we all go through different things as teenagers with our parents. And then it's kind of cool sometimes to come back and especially if I'm really grateful to have that relationship with my parents where, occasionally we'll have those friend conversations almost. And they're still my parents, they're still my superiors. Got to respect the adults. But it's cool to get to know them more as people instead of just as my parents. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, no, that makes sense. Well, I actually live with my uncle and my mom, and I actually felt very grateful to be with them during the pandemic because I know a lot of people were by themselves, and some people had COVID, some people got really sick, and so it was always great to have them. I actually did get COVID and had it bad. I didn't have to go to the hospital, but it was great to have these people here because I really don't know how I would have functioned if I was myself while I had COVID and stuff like that. So, but I'm a firm believer in as horrific as the pandemic has been, I am a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. While the pandemic has been god awful because people have gotten sick and people died, it really gave people a time, a chance to think, and a lot of people quit their jobs. I mean, one of the biggest things is that people were just like, I need to be happy. I knew life was short. God is showing me life is shorter than I really knew. So I need to get something that I love, that I can embrace. I was talking to my uncle about this the other day, and I said, and I told him the story that people are just quitting their jobs because they want to be more happy. And he was like, well, I don't know if I'd want to, if I had a high-paying job and quit that just to be happy. I said, but you know what? There's misery. Sometimes there's misery in the money, because that's what, it shouldn't be all about that. You should be happy doing what you love. I've learned that deeply this year. And so, go ahead.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I feel like that is, it's such an important thing, I think, especially in the creative fields. Like, as an artist, no one knows exactly where their career will take them or how things will turn out, or how many people will stream a song even. But exactly. I feel like following your passion and chasing your dreams and doing something that makes you happy and finding a way to make it work for you, it's the best thing you can do. Because what is life if we're not happy? Like I feel like being able to create or do whatever it is that you feel is your sole purpose, it gives us that sense of fulfillment, and like we're working towards something that is worthwhile.
Yeah, you hit the on the head there with that. You have to be happy with yourself. You have to love yourself, because the way that you are, goes out to the universe. The energy that you give out is what you're going to get in return. So I always see success as loving yourself and being happy with who you are. Things will happen in life, and they're lessons that we need to learn, and then we move on from them. We can continue to repeat those lessons, or we can see that, sometimes lessons, we can repeat those same things and they're fine. And then sometimes it's like, nope, not supposed to repeat that. You need to live a more happy and joyful life. That's why I love what you say here. Art is a reflection of life, an opportunity for the artist to heal themselves and potentially help to heal others. We as artists have so much power. So much power.
Oh, yes. And I feel like...
Go ahead.
No, what were you going to say? Go ahead, you go.
I was just like, we just have so much power. And I really truly believe that a lot of artists don't quite understand that. Because if they if artists really looked at their audiences and then interacted with their fans more, they would see how much of a difference their words make or the melody makes for that person.
I completely agree. I think you said it so well. And what you said before about the lessons of life and repeating that too, like everything you said the whole time, I just had this big smile on my face because you said it so beautifully. And as far as the artists go, we hold so much power, and we can help people release their negative emotions. We can help them, celebrate the big moments, like a first dance at a wedding. And people gravitate towards music when they go through a breakup. It's what allows us to feel and delve into those feelings in a safe environment. And the artist, I agree with you. I don't think that people understand how much power they have as an artist, because there is so much that we say with our art, sometimes without even meaning to. Like, I think of a painting, and there's so much that one person might see in that, and you bring a friend, and the friend might see something completely different. So music is the same exact way. It's just that meaning gets interpreted differently with each individual. So, Yeah,
You're
there's so
100%
much
right.
power.
Yeah. I was, I chatted with another young lady a while back this past year, and I gave her this idea, which I may use for myself, where so she was an actress as well. She sang, did musicals and stuff like that, but she was also an artist. She painted. And I told her, it'd be interesting if you did a show, because she sang at, I believe, an art gallery or something. But I told her she should incorporate all her modalities together. Like she would sing a song. That song would go along with a piece of artwork that she created. And then I told her, it was a winery. And then I told her you should create your own wine that would go along with that song and the art.
Ooh.
Isn't that cool? I'm so going to do that.
That's a brilliant idea, because music is almost like we bring people into our world in a sense, and we can tell stories. They could be personal, they could not be personal, but I love how the idea of just bringing everything together, because it's like using all of your senses and engaging. Really, someone is like almost being placed inside your head and the way you experience things when you're, having a wine tasting along with looking at art and listening. And it's really like you're sharing your vibration and your inner world with others. That is brilliant.
And it's funny, and I'll tell you this, I'm a very spiritual person. And so when I'm doing these podcasts, it's interesting. Things will just come to me, and ideas for the other person. And then people, they're like, I never thought about it. I should try that. Like with you, you're deep into spirituality. Like I see you, like even you could have one line. It could be a quote. It could be a message. And then that quote or message goes along with the song that you write. Now, you'd have to, create a bunch of songs. But because you're so deep into spirituality, that's another way of doing things as well,
Yeah, that's a beautiful idea. Thank you.
You could create all kinds of things. There's so many things you can do with music and spirituality.
Oh, yeah, and it's so cool, too, because I think the reason that music speaks to people is, like, even if someone doesn't consider themselves to be a spiritual person, like, music allows us to delve into those non-physical things. And spirituality is all about, the connection to source or God or whatever, everyone calls it something different, I feel like. And it's so cool, because that's, I think, where all those strong feelings, like why we're pulled to listen to a certain song or why we love one song so much, it's because it's like speaking to our souls. So I always tell people, I feel like everyone is spiritual to a certain extent, and everyone's on different levels or in different lanes, on different paths, journeys. It can mean something different to everyone. And I know not everyone believes in the same thing, but I think the values that we all harbor about love and respect and loyalty and faith, like those are all universal for a reason.
It's very true. It's so funny. Last year, the year before last, I was in my car. The year before last. And my radio station wouldn't work. And I'm like,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, my radio station wouldn't work. I was like, and so the radio station I used to listen to was bought up by K Love, and I was just like, well, I don't know, I want to listen to Top 40, blah, blah. And so when my radio station broke down, I said, okay, let me switch over to K Love. And the song that was playing, I can't remember what the song was what I needed to hear at that moment. Now, K Love is an inspirational, spiritual radio station, and they're very modern. That's what I like about them. It's not old school, religious, spiritual songs. They're really, I love this station. It was just weird. And for me, it was all in divine timing, because I needed that particular song, and ever since then, K Love is, like, for me, one of the best radio stations, because the songs are so inspirational, and they're so and they've kept up with the times. I mean, the songs have evolved, and there's one artist that I really like a lot, Danny Gorky, and they're all singing about God, but they all do it in a different way, and it's very moving and it's very touching and stuff like that. And I've been meaning to write the radio station. But I believe in all that divine timing. I believe in that.
What? I do too. It's a real thing. Everything happens when it's supposed to.
Exactly. What do you love most about being an artist for the artists that don't know, for the people that don't know?
I think what I love most is being able to express myself in such a safe place. I feel like everyone has different experiences growing up, and one of the things that one of the ways that I always interacted with the world was I was always very observant. Like, I was very aware of people's feelings and just what was going on around me. And as a child, I remember, like, when I was 5 years old, my teacher said I was very empathetic. Like, that was a very strong character trait that I just have carried with me throughout life. So music has been the place where I've allowed myself to just focus on what I'm feeling and really do that introspection and not be so focused outwardly. So it's helped me. Writing songs has really helped me create more of a balance in my life, in my inner and outer world. And it's just been such a beautiful gift to me, and being able to, do something that I love and share it with others and give back in ways like talking about, being on this podcast and getting to talk with you and talk about things I'm passionate about, having that platform. That's also one of my favorite things too.
Now, how important is it for you to be an authentic artist?
That is so important to me. I think the key to why I feel so strongly and believe in myself now is because I feel I'm being authentic. I think that was almost like a roadblock for me a couple years back. I felt like I was trying to find my voice and trying to find out, what was my purpose and how can I deal with things like fear or doubting myself or, wondering if what I'm putting out is good enough, and all of those different feelings and, worries that come up. And I felt like part of the reason I was encountering all that fear was because I hadn't fully found who I was meant to be as an artist. It took me a little bit longer than I think maybe I would have liked. But as we said before, everything happens in divine timing. And I felt like the moment that I chose, to really focus on, I want to be an artist. I want to put my heart out there and share this with people and be vulnerable and really take risks creatively. I feel like there was an energetic shift in my life where things started clicking more, and people fell into place, or like I met people and made connections, and things just started to really fall into place when I made that decision in my own head. And just like you said earlier, the world receives from us like messages or signals or a vibration. So it'll give back to us what we're giving out. So I think making that clear distinction and really committing to be my authentic self in my art is what ended up getting me here to be so confident in myself as an artist.
I think it's also when we give ourselves permission to be is when things start to happen for us. We, like you say, when you learn to love yourself and appreciate everything about yourself, that is when the movement starts. When we're always going to have like some self-doubt. I mean, there's every day I'm just like, oh, this music thing, I don't know, it's a lot of money, you have to dish it. You have to do this, you have to do that. But in the end, I'm like, oh my God, but music has been my saving grace. It has really, there's a love for it that I cannot even describe. Sometimes, like I just releasing like one after the other, and I've been listening back and forth to the songs, and I love all the songs, but there's some that I love more than the others, and I'm like, I can't wait for this to come out, because you have to love everything you put out. Anything that you do, it doesn't matter if you're an artist or anything, you really have to love what you put out because that's the energy that you're putting into your music. If you don't love it, then don't expect anybody else to love it. That's just the bottom line.
Yeah, that's a great point. When we love our art, it's felt through it.
Exactly. My whole thing is if you can't sit down and listen to your song on repeat for 100 times, don't put it out. Because I
love that.
I do it. I'll listen to my song. I'll put it on repeat. Listen to it 100 times, or I'll watch myself music videos on YouTube and say, "Oh, you go, girl. You do your thing." I'll cheer myself on. I mean, you have to be the biggest champion. You have to. Nobody else. You have to be your biggest champion. And and I understand, times can, people can, just like, oh, I don't know, nobody likes no. There's always going to be somebody that's going to love your music. That's the truth. That's the truth.
You hit the nail on the head this time. That's 100% true. There's always an audience for whatever you're doing. You just have to somehow find it. And law of attraction is such a big thing now that I see on my TikTok page. It's becoming, I feel like people are learning more about it. And, we can attract things into our lives. So the more that we love something, and celebrate it too, like you said, like going on YouTube and watching your own music videos and cheering yourself on, that energy, the world receives that energy. So more people are going to reflect that back to you.
Exactly. I mean, who can't? I mean, you should be your own biggest supporter because you're putting in the effort, the work. I mean, you are like I keep telling people, you are the investment. And you have to treat yourself like you're gold, like you're platinum, like you're a diamond in the rough. You have to treat yourself as such because obviously somebody put you on this earth because you had something to do. You had a mission. You have something to bring to somebody else. And it's interesting. There are times where there are many times where I have sat down, like I said, and I'm like, oh, I don't know about this, doing this music. And then I'll get an email or I'll get a phone call from somebody that's saying, oh, my God, I really love this song. I really love your voice. I listen to you all the time. This song in particular reminds me of something. And I'm like, okay, God, all right, I got the message. I got to continue. It's working. It always happens like that. It's like the most bizarre thing. The most bizarre thing.
I 100% just feel like we were talking about divine timing. I believe that it's like the guardian angels and whatever you believe in, God. They're all working behind the scenes. They're like, oh, she doesn't believe. We got to tell her. Like she needs to know that stay on your soul purpose. Like stay in your, to me it feels like anytime someone else is about, or anytime anyone is about to go off of their soul path, I feel like everyone just things start aligning and they're like code red, we got to make sure that this human stays on their path.
Exactly. Now we're going to play your song with you. Now,
thank you.
Tell us what that's about.
So I wrote that song at a time in college. I was in college and I was dating and I wanted to feel that spark, that passion with someone. And one of the things that had kind of popped up in some conversations with some female friends was we kept talking about how, sometimes it feels like we can't win. If we want the passion, especially nowadays, there's, more casual dating as opposed to people who are only searching for that romantic love. And we were just talking about how why can't we have both? Why can't we? I'm a romantic and some of my friends are hardcore romantics. I love the idea because I see it in my own life. I see it with my parents, my grandparents, they, are very passionate about each other and they love each other so much. And so I see examples in my life, my daily life, of how it can occur and it exists. And I wanted to put that out into the world because it was such a hot topic with my friends and me, and I felt so strongly about it at the time. Like, I want to be able to own that, yes, I want romantic love, and I want passion, I want desire, and I have desires, and that's okay. Those desires always lead me to follow my heart. So,
here's the irony. See, I tell you, everything is divine timing. I'm going to tell you something. So I was talking to somebody the other day, and we were talking about, being on these dating sites. And she's like, well, she went for somebody she normally wouldn't. She said she felt like she needed to be more open. And I told her, I said, I can't do that. I said, because what I desire is passion. And I want to be able to look, I'm just going to be honest. I want to be able to look at the person and want to rip their clothes off. That's what I want. I want to be able to look at that person. Yes, and I agree with you. The passion and the love, yes, you can have both of those things. And I won't settle. It's because I've never really had something like that. Maybe in my early 20s, but after that, no. So I won't settle. This is what I want, and I think that we all can have that. There's nothing wrong with wanting passion and being in love. I mean, yeah, it's good to be in love. You look at the person, but you want to. You want that feeling like you can't breathe without the person. That's what I want.
Yeah, and I think too, like, as I get older too, I see, we see in movies how sometimes, the passionate love is a troubled love, and there's so much distraught in it, but it doesn't have to be like that. Like, I look at real people around me again who are in loving relationships older than me and my family, and yeah, there are arguments that happen, but it's not like the end of the world. It's called a conflict, like that happens with people, and it's okay. Like, it's okay to desire and follow our hearts and get into a conflict.
That's right. Amen. Let's play the song.
I wanna be selfish with you, be a little bit selfish with you. Want you all to myself, do all the things we want to. Want you for more than one night. I don't wanna fight. Forget about the rest of the world and just be with you. Whoa. And just be with you. Something's unspoken and I'm not quite sure how to go about this anymore. It's a connection agreed upon. You're a distraction, I can't move on. Your hand in hand feels so right. And when you pull me close, I like you by my side. I have a tendency to overthink, but I think more clearly when I don't drink. I wanna be selfish with you, be a little bit selfish with you. Want you all to myself, do all the things we want to. Want you for more than one night. I don't wanna fight. Forget about the rest of the world and just be with you. Whoa. And just be with you. Create a place of our own, off the grid. No one knows, somewhere no one can reach us. We can be alone. I wanna be selfish with you, be a little bit selfish with you. Want you all to myself, do all the things we want to. Want you for more than one night. I don't wanna fight. Forget about the rest of the world and just be with you. Whoa. And just be with you. I wanna be selfish with you, be a little bit selfish with you. Want you all to myself, do all the things we want to. Want you for more than one night. I don't wanna fight. Forget about the rest of the world and just be with you.
That's all we want. That's all we want. We want to be able to feel. And you know what's interesting is that I think that during the pandemic, I think people realize they need to feel. I mean, when you're away from somebody or you can't touch somebody, you realize how much physical touch is very important.
Yeah, I think that's a great point too. There were articles that I remember reading about how important hugs were for the immune system and our bodies. And yeah, having that physical touch, it's such an important part of our life. I mean, we're humans. We crave that from the time we're babies till we're old and elderly. And everyone needs it. So yeah, that was also a huge concept in the song. Another thing I just thought about listening back to it too was the idea of wanting something and being selfish versus being so selfless and just always giving in a relationship. I think that there's always that give and take, and it's a good thing to state what you want. It's, I think sometimes in our society we look at selfishness as a bad thing, but I think that there just needs to be that balance of being selfish and selfless, because if we're selfish, like to me, that now means as I'm older, I've come to terms with thinking that means, someone's ambitious and they go after what they want. They're, prioritizing themselves. It can be a good thing. And just like selfless is a great thing, but it could also be a bad thing if you're too selfless and not going after what you want and only doing something for others. And I think in a romantic relationship, especially, you want to be having that balance of giving and, helping meet the other person's needs and desires in all different aspects and levels, and also sharing your own desires too.
It's funny because this is weird. I was just telling somebody that, like when I was telling you, I was sitting down and I was like, reevaluating some of my past relationships, and I realized a lot of things most recently about what I did right and what I did wrong. And I'm a very giving person. And I think that I gave too much, didn't allow the other people to give when they were supposed to give. And at the same time, dated the wrong people. But,
it happens to us all.
Yeah, but it's also, if somebody's not reciprocating what you're trying to give, then you give back what they're giving to you, because that's the energy that they're giving to you. Now, after this whole pandemic thing, it's like, you know what? I'm more laissez-faire, meaning that I'm more chill about a lot of things. I still want, like we said, the passion and being in love and, somebody supporting me as I'm supporting them and being happy and in love and like that stuff. But I have to be happy too. I can't just sit around always trying to please somebody else. That Natalie is gone. gone.
That's amazing to hear. Exactly. I think too, as one of the things that I've kind of learned just from picking up in conversations with women who I look up to, whether in my family or, some of my mentors too, is I've noticed that a lot of times in romantic relationships, and this is not to bash anyone, but a lot of times I've heard that, the females have been in a situation, and this includes myself, where I've given too much, or I've given and I continue giving to the point where it doesn't even make logical sense. And that's also something that kind of played into my head when I was working on this song, how, as a woman, it's okay to state my needs. I don't always have to be the giver. And actually, energetically, women tend to receive in a lot of ways. We, like, if you think all the way back to, I'm trying to think of like medieval times, like women were the ones who got to, get carried off and on the white horse, with the prince type of thing. They were receptive to a lot of different things historically and energetically now still in some ways. So I think it's interesting, because I think the more balanced that I become, definitely as a woman, I'm happier. I feel more fulfilled in my relationships, definitely.
No, I agree with you 100%. When we learn self-love and, and the other thing I realized over the past, I'll be honest, I haven't dated in 6 years, and there's a long story for that. And I've been on these been on these dating sites, but they get on my nerves too because there's all these fake profiles. But during those 6 years, I've really learned about what I truly want. I think that's another key. You really need to know and understand what you want out of your partner and what you want for yourself, as we've been talking about. Because when you don't know what you want, sometimes both parties can send mixed signals. So you have to really know what you want in life.
Yeah, I think that's a great point too, because definitely that in a romantic relationship, you're doing life with someone, and that's so beautiful. But yeah, if you get to a point where you're not sure about things, that affects not only the relationship, but it can affect the other person too, because like you said, mixed signals can be sent back and forth then, and like maybe needs aren't being met, but it's because someone's not sure about what they need, and it can be hard. I feel like sometimes part of the reason that we are single at certain aspects in our life or in certain phases is to learn more what we want, so that we can start attracting those better relationships and the people who are better vibrational matches for us.
True. Very, very true. I agree with that 100%. 100%. So maybe all your next songs should be about, you should write a book about relationships. And then for each chapter you have a song for each chapter.
I really like that idea. I've always wanted to write a book, so maybe this will be the way that I dive into that aspect of creativity.
I love that. I'd buy it. I'd want to.
Thank you.
I want it. So what is next? Go ahead.
I was going to say, well, if that's what I end up doing, if I end up writing a book, I'll make sure to, shout you out.
All right. I love that. So what is next for you?
So up next, I'm currently working on an album, and the title of the project is called Vulnerable. It's all about vulnerability, and in the past couple of years, I've gotten better and improved at opening up and letting people in, and that's been a theme in my life and something that I struggled with. I wasn't always as open to sharing what was going on in my life. Right. And I was very receptive, and I've been the person too a lot of times where people go to for advice, but it's been cool to use my music as a healing tool to really help myself figure out, well, why am I so afraid to open up to people? Or, maybe it's not that scary, and kind of really figuring all of that out through lyrics and music. So the whole project, it will include With You will be on the album. It's just a dive deeper into finding myself, and I'm really excited to share it.
Awesome. I can't wait to hear it. What are the best resources that have helped you along the way in your music career?
I think introspection and having real conversations with people, because I think sometimes being in my own head with a song, very, in a very literal way, having a song in my own head and writing it out, I don't, sometimes we don't always express things to ourselves or on our own the way we might to someone else. It might not be as clear if we're just expressing it for ourselves. So I think having real conversations with people about what I'm going through, and relying on some of my spiritual tools like crystal healing, and there's a practice I also use called Jinshin Jitsu, which is an ancient healing art. Relying on those practices to delve into the values and have conversations with people about, what's going on in my head. I think those actually end up being some of the best tools that I have, because they keep me focused when I'm writing, and they help me communicate and express myself in the best way possible without, blocking any thoughts or being too distracting or all over the place. It just helps to really keep me focused, kind of like keeping my eye on the prize and grounded.
Amen to that. Who are the three people who have been the most influential to you, would you say?
I would say two of them I met in college. They are my mentors. One was my voice teacher. Her name is Cassandra Claude, and the other was a professor. Her name is Raina Murnak, and the two of them really helped me like find myself. They just encouraged me to like explore and be myself, both musically and just personally. And I feel like having mentors, especially women that I can look up to and see them, you know, living their life and having those real conversations with them about spirituality and, you know, different issues that come up, been the most influential thing in how I view myself as an artist, and also looking at myself with more love and compassion, because I've received feedback from them literally on my voice and like what I've been working on in voice lessons, and also just as a person when I was dealing with, you know, a struggle or a challenge in life. And I would receive feedback about, you know, what I was doing good, and it would help me not be as harsh on myself, definitely. And I think someone else who's been really influential too is also, I would say, both my parents. So I guess this counts as like a double 3, maybe 3 and 4. But my mom is she's so kind, and she's always been open to talking with me about things. And my dad has also been very open-minded. And one of the things too, I think that's played a big role in my life is that I've seen him be emotional like throughout my life. Like both my parents are very open with me. So I think that plays a big role into how I am as a person and how I write my music.
And what advice would you give your younger self?
Ooh, if I could say something to my younger self, I would tell her, don't be so scared to be yourself, because when you allow yourself, like we were talking about earlier, when you allow yourself to just be, things really flow, and life almost gets to a point where it's like, wow, I didn't know it could be this beautiful, because you're reflecting back, like people are reflecting back how much love you feel for yourself. So don't be afraid to just be yourself. It all works out.
Amen. That's why I like to post those quotes every day on our Instagram account. You know, be you, be real, be authentic.
Yes.
Just be yourself, you know. It all ends up, you gotta love yourself.
Yes. It's the best gift that you give to the world. There's no other you. And I love your quotes. I see them, and they make me smile.
Oh, I'm so happy. What is a quote or a message that you like to use every single day, or every other day, or once a month, that motivates you?
One of the things that has been the most uplifting to me is there's a quote about how diamonds are crushed, and I'll have to find the quote and send it to you, but the idea that things that are happening in the dark, they end up being beautiful. Grapes are crushed to make wine is one of the lines. And I think, especially in the time of the pandemic, knowing that, you know, sometimes something heavy might be happening for some better reason, or that, you know, there are good things coming, and it just kind of switched my perspective from like, you know, things are heavy or things are hard right now to like, okay, this is hard, but like there's also this good thing happening. And that quote has definitely been a saving grace for me during the pandemic.
Awesome. Well, Naomi Sky, it's truly been my honor to have you on Chatting with Nat. I think you are a beautiful soul. I think you continue to light up the world with who you are and your music. And I can't wait to hear what else you have out there. I'm sure it's going to be phenomenal, fantastic. I can't wait for you to write your, you know, praise me in it. I can't wait.
Thank you. I love speaking with you today, and also last week on your Instagram Live. Just you've been such a pleasure to talk with, and you ask such brilliant questions, and it's been amazing to see how insightful and like tuned in you are. It's been such a gift to share this time with you. So thank you, Nat.
You for being you. All right, everybody. That was pop artist Naomi Sky. You can find her on www.itsnaomisky.com, and you can just Google her. She's just all over the place because she's just phenomenal. And you've got to go listen to her song because it's just great. And when her EP comes out and her book comes out and everything that she does, your heart is going to burst with love because Naomi Sky, you are wonderful.
Thank you so much, Nat. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
All right. I hope you have a great rest of the week, and I can't wait to see what else you got.
Thank you. And everyone, keep listening and tuning in to Chatting with Nat. These are absolute gems. These podcasts.
Thank you. All right, everybody. That was Chatting with Nat. Until next time. Chatting with Nat is a podcast for independent women seeking to speak their truth and to break down barriers. We host honest conversations that help to guide and empower women. Speak your truth and set yourself free. Let your voice be heard.